we are going to be talking about tactics. So fulfillment tactics, specifically around the different ways that you can pull off a coaching program. Okay. And so if you are new to the program, welcome. If you have been in the program for a while, some of this stuff might be like a review, right? A reminder more than learning something new, but I think it's still important to talk about. Okay. So the whole idea of the program that we are selling and prescribing to our clients is to make them feel like they have a coach, right? I think that there's a big difference between like a fitness membership, right, and a coaching program. And I think a fitness membership certainly it goes in that like expense category in somebody's mind. And if things get tight, or if they think they can get a better gym membership for cheaper somewhere down the road that just opened or whatever, it leaves your business relatively fragile because of the nature of their relationship with the business, right? It is very transactional, although it may feel like a great culture, a great community, great members, right? But if they don't have a relationship with anybody within the business, right, a strong relationship, then it very much is a logical decision in their mind versus an emotional one, right? And so because you can't have a relationship with a building or a logo or a piece of equipment, it's got to be with a person. That's how relationships work, with people, right? And so how do we, if it's not going to be the owner that has this amazing relationship with every single person at the gym, or a coach that is nice and friendly and gives them a high five and makes them laugh, but that's not a relationship. That's just a great personality that they like, And so that's why you might find your churn is a little bit higher than you'd like it to be. And you're like, man, why are people leaving? Oh, well, it's expensive. Well, it's not expensive. That's just what they're telling you, right? Expensive is completely relative to what they view. Like, so the price of something is what they pay, but the value of it is what they get. And when they say it's expensive, what they're meaning is that there's a discrepancy between what they're paying and what they're getting, right? And the price and the value. And so, if you were selling, a freaking house, I know that's extreme, but if you were selling a house for $99 a week, right, they would say, whatever it takes, I'm going to make this happen. This is an amazing house. I could see myself living here for the next 5 years. It's perfect for me. I know I don't have a lot of money, but I'm going to find a way to get $99 a week because this is such a value for that amount, right? Well, why isn't your program at your gym? Why can't it give them that same exact feeling, that emotional feeling, right? And so where they say, look, I know I don't have a lot of money, but what Coach John just told me, that will make such a big impact on my life that I'm going to find a way to get this $99 a week, right? And so people make decisions based on how they think it will impact their life, whether it is, helping them avoid, some kind of pain or problem or suffering or something like that, or they want to go towards something good like pleasure or happiness or joy or whatever, right? All decisions are made based on that, going away from one or towards another, right? And so if your program if it really can help them, get away from, some people it's pain. They don't want to be fat anymore. They want to feel more confident. They want to look great in their clothes or out of them or whatever, right? If you can really help somebody accomplish that and articulate that to them and then help them with a person that is taking that journey with them, man, they will find a way to make that happen. They just will, right? If it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing at your gym, well, then they're going to find, if it doesn't feel like they're on that journey with someone else, a guide that is helping them accomplish that they're sharing this whole thing with, If it doesn't feel like that, then the value just goes way down, right? Even if you have great workouts and you have great music and you have great coaches and you have great all of this stuff, right? It's not helping them get any farther away from their pain, because outside of your gym, they have to live with themselves for the remaining 23 hours of the week, right? And they'll be able to sit down and be like, man, I'm not really any closer to my goals, or I'm not any farther away from these problems or pain that I'm feeling, right? When it comes to my finances and my budget, I can afford to get rid of this because it's not really instrumental to my day-to-day like livelihood, versus somebody that like they just couldn't imagine their day-to-day life without your gym. Like it's just such a part of their gym, or it's such a part of their life, like their relationship with their coach, the ability that it's keeping them in amazing shape, the fact that they have a support system, right, for when things get hard. They have an accountability system for when they don't want to do stuff. They have a nutritional system for like knowing what to eat. They just have all of this stuff that, man, without it, like their day-to-day life would change, relatively significantly, including outside of the actual time that they're at your gym, right? So it's so much more than the workout. So knowing that, right, how do we make somebody feel like they have that coach, they have that person, that relationship, that value with your program? Well, there's more than one way, right? And so I'm going to break down what I think are the three main ways that I would do this. Number one would be a split between a one-on-one coach doing private personal training sessions, and then blend that in with large group. That's personally what I do. And I'll explain why I do it and who it would be good for and who it would not be good for. So the first reason of why I do that is I give them the minimal effective dose of that coaching, which is 30 minutes once a week, to really make them feel like they have a coach. If they're meeting somebody every single week, one-on-one, that's a relationship, guys. They're going to be talking the entire time about who knows what. It'll loosely be around like their workouts, their recovery, their nutrition. But guys, it's going to veer off into their friends and their siblings and their neighbors and things that they're doing this weekend. And that really transcends just a fitness relationship, right? You guys really aren't having those conversations in large group classes, right? Like you're either instructing them or you're explaining what the workout is. You're not really like talking with them about their aunt or something, right? And so I want to get that. I want that to happen. I want those conversations. I want that relationship to happen. Now I know that 30 minutes is a little bit fast to work out, so I tell all of my clients, hey, why don't you get in here 15 minutes early? Go ahead and jump on that, cardio, or do this dynamic warm up, or it depends on the client, right? But come in 15 minutes early. I'm going to grab you for like the meat and potatoes, like the 30 minutes that I've programmed for us together. And then after we're done, I'm gonna throw you on the scale. We're gonna do a quick weigh-in. We're gonna check your body fat. We're gonna make sure our program is working exactly how it should. If not, we can recalibrate some stuff. But if it is, then I'll give you a goal for the next week that we're gonna hit together. But then I want you to head over here and maybe like stretch out for, do some static stretching, or maybe some foam rolling, or some more cardio, whatever you guys believe in, right? I'm not here to coach you on nutrition or on exercise stuff, but like they're there for an hour, right? 15 minutes, then, 30 minutes with me, and then 15 minutes afterwards. If you believe in 45 minutes, then you could do, 5-minute, warm up and whatever, 30 minutes, and then 5 minutes afterwards. That's only 40. You get what I'm 7.5, whatever. My point is that I don't think they probably need to be with you for the entire hour, especially somebody that's new. Like, so that's how I do it. But I know that they need to work out more than once a week to get results. So that's why I put them in my large group the other like 2 to 3 days a week, right? And again, this is programmed by the coach. I want the coach to have complete control over the programming, right? And so like how many days they're coming to a large group is not up to them. It's what the coach told them to do, right? Now, most times it's going to be 3 days a week, right? Or maybe if they're newer and they're just getting into it, maybe they do the one private session and 2 days a week. Their membership at our gym comes with unlimited classes, but they don't come to unlimited. They come to what their coach tells them to come to, right? If we didn't have so much room that we have now, I would just do 3 days a week. I wouldn't even sell unlimited. It would make no sense because somebody doesn't really need to train more than 4 times a week. Right? They just don't for most people, right? I just sell unlimited because again, it makes it easier for me to close. And I know that they're not going to actually come to unlimited. But I can't afford to have them call me on my bluff. You know what I mean? Like, I can't afford to actually have all these people show up to unlimited if I didn't have the space for it. Like you guys, like I wouldn't recommend selling unlimited if you don't actually have the space, because who knows, maybe they would, right? And then you're like, oh shit, right? But if you have plenty of space, it makes it easier for the close. But if you don't have plenty of space, then just stick to 3 times a week, right? So that's one way that you can do it, is that one-on-one with 30-minute split. And then again, the coach is giving homework out, nutritional, all of that stuff. I'm not going to talk too much about that because we did that last week. We talked about the blueprint. I mean, we walked through the blueprint, guys, last week. And so if you're like, hey, what should we do for nutrition? What should we just type in blueprint in the group? And we did an hour-long video on a deep dive into the blueprint. So what I'm talking about is more of the different ways you can fulfill the program in its entirety, right? Specifically around the workouts. So that's one way. The second way that you can do it is through semi-private. Okay. So again, this is similar, but it's more along the lines of you have semi-private classes, right? So like whether it's 1-on-4, 1-on-6, anywhere in there. And the client is assigned to the coach that they are most likely going to be working with in the classes, right? At least one of the classes, they got to be with that coach, right? So like, as an example, let's say you have 4 semi-private instructors, right? And Johnny has the semi-private classes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. And Susie has them in the mornings and whatever, right? Again, I do not recommend saying like, hey, these are the times that you're going to be able to come and train in the semi-private, because it just creates more complexity than is necessary. Like, what if they can't make those times, right? And then they want to come to a different class and you're like, sorry, that one already is full. Like, it just creates complexity. The way I run it is I just have I have a semi-private schedule and they can come to whatever class they want, right? But I'm going to pair them up with a coach, because on the sales meeting, I'm going to say, well, what time can you come into the gym to train? And they'll be like, oh, I'm going to come in after work at 6 p.m. It's like, okay, cool. I know that John coaches all the 6 p.m. semi-private classes. Your coach is going to be John, right? And so John is going to do exactly what he would do as if these people were one-on-one clients of his, but he's just doing it in a semi-private group. Okay. It's a little bit harder to make that deep connection because there's other people like there that they're talking to. But you trade that off for more profitability during that session, right? And so like if somebody's paying $50 for a one-on-one session for that 30 minutes, like in my gym, the coach keeps, 20 or something like that, and we keep 30. Well, if they're paying the same $50 in a semi-private, the coach could keep that same 20, right? Except now the gym keeps the additional 180, right? Yes. And so my point is like, but you're exchanging that for what I would think is lifetime value, right? Because the deeper the relationship, the longer they stay for. So these people might quit a little bit sooner, but you're making more money for the time that they're there. Again, both of them are great strategies. I would use semi-private if space is a constraint of yours, right? If you don't have a lot of space, and you want to sell a lot of high ticket people, well, then it just makes sense to put 4 of them together in a group. Now, again, it won't always be the same 4 because they're signing up for whichever workout they want to come to. And chances are it's going to be usually the same 4 people at the same time, because their lifestyle will probably dictate which class they can come to, but it's not like 100%, right? And so, but certainly I would make sure that their coach is coaching at least one of those workouts, right? And then again, follow the blueprint that we did last week. Like the coach should be weighing that group of 4 people in at least once a week together. So like when I had a group of 4 people, four ladies, man, they were so much fun. Semi-private's a lot of fun, guys. They will mess around, they will whatever. I had to do 45 minutes for those instead of 30 because I needed 15 minutes after the 30 minutes to do all of my accountability shit. Cause I had to weigh 4 people in. I had to talk about their goals with them for the next week. I literally did it the exact same way, but I just had 4 people. So I needed a little bit more time. So again, I had all my groups come in early and warm up if they could. If they didn't, I would always do like a quick 5-minute warm up in my semi-privates, because I know some of them are running in like, right at the time. I would give them a great 30-minute workout. And then I would just do the 15-minute weigh-in and accountability stuff only once a week with them. And so if they came to my semi-private 3 times a week, then only the first workout of the week I would do with them. And I would ask them at the end of the class if they missed their weigh-in or their accountability stuff. I was like, hey, does anybody miss their weigh-in today? Or from like, let's say it's Wednesday. Normally a good coach will know if somebody missed it or not, especially because it's their client. But I would just do it for everybody, right? And it was a fun way to end like the Monday's workout, because I did I was able to like that was the day that they all had to weigh in and they were like nervous about it. And, but then I set goals for the next week. Right. So you can totally do that. The people that might be in one of your workouts that aren't one of your accountability clients, you just wouldn't do it with them. Like, I mean, if they really wanted to, I wouldn't like tell them no, but they know they'll just be doing it with their coach on the day that they're with their coach. Right. And they won't probably do it multiple times a week. They'll be like, oh no, I weigh in with Trevor on Wednesdays. I'm like, okay, cool. Right. But most of the time, all of your clients will be in there. And it's your job as a coach to keep track of them. Right. You can have, I don't fill people up no matter what modality. I don't assign a coach to somebody. I don't assign more than 30 transformation clients to a coach, right? I just think you start getting to like diminished returns. You know what I mean? So that's how I would do it if I had semi-private. And guys, you could have semi-private classes, 3 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 3 in the evening, maybe even more than that, right? And you can sell the hell out of it and fulfill the hell out of it. And you just got to budget in those extra 15 minutes once a week. At the end of, I always kept it to my first workout of the week, right? My first day of the week. That way I remembered, they remembered, everybody remembered. So very rarely was I ever weighing anybody in or doing any accountabilities on like a Thursday or Friday. They would have had to have missed all the first week's workouts. And usually if somebody misses Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're just saying, fuck it for the week. Right. And so I didn't find myself doing very many on Friday, Saturday type stuff. You should be able to get everybody weighed in and squared away within the first 3 days of the week. Right. Anyways, that's how I would fulfill it. And then, yeah, you do the exact same thing. You have a thread with them with all of these people. I had at our gym, we use Voxer. And so Voxer is just like a Facebook Messenger chat, but my clients and my coaches knew that if Voxer went off, it was a client. And the clients knew if Voxer went off on their phone, it was their coach, right? And it wasn't like a text that got muddled up with everything else, or a Facebook Messenger, whatever, that got muddled up with everything else. Like they knew that it was going to be, something with their clients, right? And again, my clients, they all knew that we had dedicated coaching hours. So it wasn't like I'm going to respond to you within 5 minutes, anyways, that's how I would fulfill it if it was semi-private. Okay. And I've done it and it works great. Then you have large group only facilities that have never done semi-private or one-on-one. The first thing I would do is I would explore, is one-on-one possible? Because if you're doing large group right now, chances are you have a little bit of a bigger space where that might be an option, right? And I would challenge you on the amount of space that you think is necessary to be able to run this model. If you've watched one of my videos in the beginning of the course, I referenced that I started my business, my gym, in a 1,000 square foot, basement of a church, right? And me and my coaches, that was our first year, right? Well, I had 4 coaches by the end of the year, right? And so I was running this model, large group, which for us at the time was 1-on-12. And then and that was half of the gym. And the other half of the gym, we were doing 4 one-on-one sessions, right? So just do the math. If you have 1,000 square feet of like training space, you have 500 square feet for large group, which is a 25 by 25 room. That's huge, guys. It's plenty of room. But then you have that 25 by 25 room for 4 coaches, right? And so if you were to do the math, it means each coach has roughly, it's 500 square feet. So each coach has roughly, 500 divided by 5 would be 100 square feet, but we'll divide it by 4. So it's 125 square feet. So each coach would have a 12 by 12 room, like square, essentially, to train in. Look at the room that you're sitting in right now. If you're in a room, like think about a 10 by 10 square, right? Could you give somebody a good workout in that section? Like let's say you have a squat rack, you have a bench, you have a BOSU ball, you have some kettlebells, some dumbbells, you have all this stuff, an ab mat, you have all of this stuff in your 10 by 10 room. Maybe you have a TRX and a pull-up bar in there as well. Could you give somebody a good workout? Fucking absolutely you could. Absolutely. Well, then why don't you just tape off 4 squares that are that size and equip each one of them, right? Because that's exactly what I did. It was like COVID before COVID, right? Like it was like the fucking distance. But that's how we did it, guys. And I was running large group at the same time as 4 coaches. For a year straight, and we fucking crushed it, right? But then we eventually had to move because we ran out of room, right? And it was like either like, okay, guys, this is our cruising altitude. We literally can't fit any more people in here, or we could expand and just keep selling. So we expanded. We expanded into a 4,000 square foot unit. The building was 6,000 square feet, or I'm sorry, 16,000 square feet. That was made up of 4,000 square foot units. So over the last 10 years, we have expanded into each one of those units by reinvesting our profit from selling this exact program, right? And so now we do have 16,000 square feet, but it went from 1 to 4 to 8 to 12 to 16, right? Over the course of 10 years. Now, I was very confident in myself as a young man. And so when I went to look for and I got lucky a lot of times, guys. Like I had a sense of confidence that was not that was not necessarily the probability wouldn't always lead to us being as successful as we like. Luck plays into it too, right? But anyways, you couldn't tell me that back then. And so we ended up I only wanted the space that I could expand into. That's all I was looking for, right? And so that's why I was able to. That's why I said yes to this one. If I couldn't, I wouldn't have went from 1,000 to 4,000. I would have went a lot bigger. I would have went like 1,000 to like 8,000 because I was really confident in my ability to do this. And not to mention, like, I'm not in retail space. I'm in flex space, right? It's like warehouse with a couple offices. It's significantly cheaper. So like the difference between 4,000 and 8,000 isn't like massively significant like it would be if I was in a retail space. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, yeah, we expanded to keep on selling this, right? But to bring this full circle, if you're in large group only right now, I would challenge yourself in your beliefs to, if you could run semi-private and one-on-one, right? And if you're saying I don't have enough room, guys, you have to be in a really small space at least for me to buy it, right? Otherwise, it might just be a belief that you hold to be true because you think you need a certain amount of square feet per person, right? Because you don't know anything different. You've never done anything different. Well, when I came into the gym that I went into, the 1,000 square foot to start off with, guys, I came from a big box gym where they didn't have any dedicated training area. So I was training my clients in between like the fucking squat rack and the shoulder press. And it was like literally like 20 square feet. It was tiny, guys. It was not even 20 square feet. It was really, really small. Like a 5x5 section, and I put cones around it. So none of the other gym goers that were on, treadmills and stuff would walk into my space. I didn't know anything different. So going into a 12x12 space was actually more room for me. Right. I was so used to, and this was 3 years I was training at this gym before I started my own, 2 years before I started my own gym. And so it was like an immediate, like, oh my God, I can finally breathe. Right. And so everything, and when I'm not trying to get onto a long tangent here, but everything that you believe to be true is simply just based on your own experiences. Right. And it doesn't mean that it's true. It's just that you don't know any other way. Right. And so I would just challenge you to like try to train somebody in a small space and see how it goes. Don't just try once, do it for a week or a month and just see how it goes and say, you know what? I was actually able to give a really great workout. I can see a path where this would be successful. Now I might have to teach my other coaches, but I could see that. Now, if you come to the conclusion that that's not possible for you for whatever reason, then I would still absolutely assign a coach to every single person that you sign up to do your large group stuff. And they would simply just either meet with their clients after a class, if it's possible, to do the accountability type stuff, either on the gym floor or if you have a spare office or whatever, but largely just talk with them about nutrition, talk with them about their program, talk with them about their goals, talk with them about how everything's going. Make sure it's both effective and enjoyable, not just like working, but they hate it, right? And if you don't have a space or you can't coordinate it over the within the gym, then do it all over the phone, right? Do it all over the phone, over email, but have these conversations, make it targeted. I give you in phase 2 under fulfillment, there is a accountability coach tracker. So really it's designed for this exact thing. We used it during COVID because we obviously couldn't meet with anybody at the gym. For our gym was closed for 70 days. So like 2.5 months. Right. And so, but we really wanted to not lose anybody. And I don't think we really lost anybody, but we pivoted immediately to online coaching program, like remote coaching. Right. And so I had to create a tracker to keep, so each one of our coaches could keep track of their own clients. So that tracker that I created and used, it worked really well, right? We don't use it anymore because we went right back into brick and mortar. That's kind of our thing. Like we didn't keep any online coaches. We didn't keep selling it. It's not our thing. And I like simplicity. I don't like complexity. Could I sell online stuff? Probably. But guys, if there's any advice I can give you, it's just keep it simple. Do what you do really well, and don't try to veer off into too many different directions. But we did this for a while and it worked really well. And so I would have 30 different clients on each tab, and the tab would be labeled like the coach's name, right? And they would be able to keep track of all their clients, their nutrition plan they were on, progress pictures, their weights for each week. Now the client would be weighing themselves in and then just, messaging you the weights. The client would be, again, I went through the blueprint last week, so I'm not going to like dig super deep into like the actual specifics. That's all in the blueprint. But they would be doing all of that coaching type stuff without actually meeting the person in person. Okay. So you lose a little bit of the, again, this is another trade-off. You lose a little bit of that relationship, but I personally have a coach for my nutrition and my workout program, and he lives in England. So I've never met the guy once. It's all over Zoom, mostly over Voxer, right? We use Voxer because I think that there's a lot of power in the voice more, versus just a text. Like when I get a Vox from him, he's like, I'm not even going to do an English accent, but he's like, Joey, hey, just got your progress pictures. Everything looks great. Just got your screenshot of your MyFitnessPal for the past week. Just checked out the tracker. I mean, everything is looking great. This week, we're going to adjust your macros to, 100 carbs and 200 grams of protein and, 50 grams of fat, or he'll adjust it and I just do what he tells me to do based on whatever my goals are. Right now, again, that's not the nutrition plan that your clients are probably going to be on. That's not the point. Don't get lost in that. Right. But he does it over voice messaging. So I'm like, oh, it's my coach. Like, I feel like I have that relationship because there's the more senses that you can associate with somebody, the more it reminds you of that human experience. Right. And so in person, obviously it's all the senses. It's, you can see them, you can touch them, you can smell them, you can hear them. Hopefully you don't taste them, but when you're doing it over SMS and email, it's literally just it's just visual, right? You can't even see them. You're just reading what they're saying. But if you can associate that with sound, right now, it becomes a little bit more real, right? So I would do that if I was coaching my clients over, in some kind of remote type of setting or online. And then all of the workouts, all of the actual training is in a large group thing. And your coaches will probably see them in the large group, right? And they'll probably give them a high five and they'll probably be like, but really the majority of the actual real coaching, programming, nutrition, homework, everything that's in the blueprint is all done over, Voxer or whatever app, and using the tracking spreadsheet. So you always stay organized. So anyways, guys, those are the 3 ways that I would fulfill on this program. They all have pros and cons, right? There's no like, this is the best way. The way that's the best is what makes the most sense for your business and what kind of gym you ultimately want to have. I am super passionate about giving my coaches the most amount of freedom and creativity to be able to coach however they want to coach clients. That's just how I like to do it, right? I'm not saying it's the best way. It's just what I prefer. And so I have these one-on-one sessions because it gives them complete control of what's happening during that time. And so as you move farther away from that, the coach has a little bit less control, right? Because you're going to be probably telling them like what days they should be reaching out to people, what they should be talking about, what they, in the large group thing. Semi-private is still very, it very much is like that personal relationship, but shared a little bit with maybe 2 or 3 other people. And you can't create the workout specifically for Mrs. Jones, because guess what? There's 3 other people in there, but it's more profitable, right? And so the lifetime value will probably be about the same. They'll probably stay a little bit less, long, but you're making more for the money for the time that they're there. Versus my model with the one-on-one in a large group, I may not be making quite as much as some of the semi-private gym owners are, like, per hour, but I'm pretty sure that my clients are going to stay really long, right? And so I will ultimately catch up to them and maybe even surpass them with this model, right? And so there's pros and cons to each one of them, but really take a look at your business, take a look at, and you don't have to stick with the same one for your entire business. Maybe you have a strategic plan where you're like, look, I'm in a 3,000 square foot building now, but I want to expand like Joey did and get into 8,000 square feet. And so I'll do semi-private for now, but when I get into this new space, I'm going to take a look at that private stuff that he's doing or whatever. There's no right or wrong answer and nothing's forever, right? But figure out which one, and to bring this full circle, just make it really feel like they have a coach. If you can make it really feel like they have a coach, then we've solved that value to price discrepancy, right? We've fixed it. They are making an investment in themselves and with a coaching program, right? And they expect to get an ROI, a return on that investment, right? They just are expecting it in the form of like weight loss or muscle gain or whatever goals they told you, right? Versus a fitness membership. Look, they're putting that on themselves. They're not expecting anything from you guys. They're not expecting you to fucking solve their problem. Like, they know they have to do it, right? Whereas this is much different. You're selling like a solution to their problem. Mrs. Jones, if you did this, everything that comes with my program, it would be unreasonable for you to not lose 40 pounds in 6 months, right? I mean, it's almost a guarantee, as close to a guarantee as anything else could be, right? We can't guarantee it, but I mean, if you're doing all of these things, like, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't reach this in this amount of time. And I have the perfect coach to help you along the way, right? So anyways, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about today, is the different the different modalities that you can use to fulfill on a transformation coaching program, and to let you know that there isn't a best or worst way. It is just what makes the most sense for you. I have experience doing all three of them, right? And I have a preference for the one-on-one to large group, but it doesn't mean it's the best, right? It's just my preference. And so you can totally crush this with semi-private, and I will help you do that, right? Because I've done it myself, and I loved it. I just didn't love it as much as I loved something else, right? I've done it with remote stuff. I did it for 3 months of straight up remote, and clients loved it, right? But they didn't stick as long as I wanted them to, because I really think like, I just really think that the people that signed up at my gym want to fucking come into the gym, right? They want to come into the gym, and they want to work with their trainer one-on-one, because if they really, really wanted an online coach, they probably could have found one that isn't like at an actual brick and mortar location. But maybe you can just do really well with that and crush it. And it makes a lot of sense for you, right? And I will totally help you crush that. I will totally help you like energize that. And I have a lot of great ideas for that too. I built a whole bunch of online stuff that I thought was really fucking cool, because I didn't even know how long COVID was going to last for. I don't think anybody did. So we really built it out, and I'm like, man, this is a really cool program. Like, and so we have all that stuff. Anyways, guys, I'll let you get back to your work. I appreciate everybody that took the time out of their day to watch this training. And I will see you guys tomorrow, where we are going to talk a little bit more about the systems behind the different roles at the gym, and what systems fit best with what people that you have on your team now. So with that being said, I'll let you go, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're out of here.